Now, we're thinking in these times about the fruits of the Holy Spirit and how the fruit of the Spirit reflects something of the nature of the Holy Spirit himself. And we're looking this morning at joy. And if joy is a fruit that the Spirit produces within us, then joy must come from that very same Spirit. And I think that what it says to me is the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, must therefore be joyful. And I love that idea of the Spirit being joyful, because I think it sits in direct contrast to, I think, what we often think must be going through the Holy Spirit's mind as he dwells in us, which is probably something more akin to kind of disapproval. As he sits there and looks at us getting on with our lives and wondering why we make such a mess of it. He must be thinking time after time, oh, will they never get it? But if the Spirit has joy, then within us he isn't disapproving, he is joyful. Now what is it that gives the Holy Spirit so much joy? Well, I wonder if it's the joy that comes from knowing more than can be seen. See, I think the Holy Spirit is so intimately connected with both the Father and with Jesus that he sees the ongoing, unstoppable activity of God in this world. He sees that far more than we possibly can. And because he dwells within us, of course he sees all that is going on in our lives. The batterings we take, the things we're going through, the anxieties that weigh upon us. I think our problem is that most of the time that's all that we see. And those things so easily get in the way of our vision with God. But it must be so different with the Holy Spirit. He sees and is part of that ongoing activity of the God that is the answer to all that we might be going through. When we're going through difficult times in our lives, you might read verses that speak about joy and you wonder, well, what is there to be joyful about? But I think the Spirit's answer would be, you're not seeing the whole picture, because there is so much more going on than we see. So how do we connect with this fountain of joy within us? And I think it begins when we simply acknowledge the presence of the Spirit within us. Because just that simple step is an acknowledgement that we are not on our own. That there is somebody else within us. That apart from whatever difficulties we might be going through, there's somebody else there as well. And if we can catch the truth that this indwelling Spirit is not a passive bystander in our lives, but actually an active person bringing forth the purposes of God. If we can catch that, then I think we can begin to catch the wonder of his joy within us.